Oh, no surprise here. The IDF has already declared themselves innocent of attacking Palestinians and still want to claim that it was just because Palestinians trampled themselves. How does that explain the bullet wounds and the shrapnel wounds from bombs? Yeah, uh, this is just the IDF trying to lie about what happened. It is wild how they have a propaganda channel on YouTube where the IDF just lies, lies, lies.
In the early hours of Thursday morning, the Israel Defense Forces facilitated a humanitarian operation to help bring aid to civilians in northern Gaza. This was the fourth night in a row that we facilitated such an operation because we want humanitarian aid to reach Gazan civilians in need.
Right, the IDF is so desperate to help the Palestinians in Gaza get aid that they're willing to block aid to Palestinians through the Egyptian border.
You see, our war is not against the people of Gaza. Our war is against Hamas.
I mean, if that was true, you wouldn't have 30,000 people dead, millions of people starving or displaced, and 80% of Gaza destroyed.
It is Hamas who started this war on October 7th. It is Hamas that had caused immense suffering to civilians on both sides of the border.
So what, it's Hamas that is airstriking people in Gaza when an ADF soldier sends out an airstrike, or it's Hamas killing people when the IDF shoots innocent Palestinians? Like, you gotta take some responsibility here. The Israeli government is causing suffering.
The IDF has concluded an initial review of the unfortunate incident where Gazan civilians were trampled to death and injured as they charged to the aid convoy.
Yeah, he's trying to claim that all these people died or got injured by trampling each other, but how would that cause bullet wounds? How would that cause shrapnel wounds?
Our initial review has confirmed that no strike was carried out by the IDF towards the aid convoy. The majority of Palestinians were killed or injured as a result of the stampede. From the information
Wow, that is so bogus that uh, they died from this stampede. They're admitting that Palestinians were injured trying to get aid from the food convoy. Uh, but they don't want to say that it was because of the IDF shooting and tanking people, but they want to claim it's because of a stampede. That is insane.
we gathered from the commanders and forces on the ground, our initial review has indicated that following the warning shots fired to disperse the stampede and after our forces had started retreating, several looters approached our forces and posed an immediate threat to them.
Okay, now he's saying that they fired warning shots and that people approached them, calling them looters. Not looters, they're people getting deed. That is a way to make it seem like the victims are the bad guys here.
According to the initial review, the soldiers responded towards several individuals. As a professional military committed to international law, we are committed to examining our operations thoroughly. We have opened an inquiry to examine the incident further.
Okay, so he said several IDF soldiers responded. Uh, he doesn't want to say that they shot people, but that is what happened. people got shot by the IDF.
which will help us reduce the risk of such a tragic incident from occurring again during one of our humanitarian operations. The incident will be examined in the fact-finding and assessment mechanism, an independent, professional, and expert body. For the sake of transparency, we will share updates as our examination develops, hopefully in the coming days.
And again, it's just going to be the IDF claiming that they were justified and just making up a bunch of lies.
I want to make something clear. Our war is against Hamas, not against the people of Gaza.
Right. It's not against the people of Gaza, which is why Bibi Netanyahu has advocated for genocide against the Palestinians, or the finance minister, or the defense minister, and it's not why the defense minister arms and funds Israeli settlers in the West Bank to kill Palestinians. That's because it's not a war against Palestinians, it's a war against Hamas, which is why the Israeli government has to attack innocent Palestinians.
This is why we are facilitating aid, creating humanitarian corridors, establishing unilateral humanitarian pauses, and exercising caution in our use of force.
This is hilarious. Now they want to pretend that they're actually helping get aid to the Palestinians in Gaza when they've been blocking aid to Gaza and exercising caution in their use of force. Okay, so why did 100 people plus die trying to get aid from a food convoy with 750 plus people getting injured, with, some of those people potentially dying? Um, why are snipers shooting people uh, holding white flags or being held up in churches? Or why is the IDF killing hostages in airstrikes? Yeah, this is nothing but lies by the Israeli government.
Israel and the international community are working together to enable the entry and distribution of humanitarian aid to the residents of Gaza. We coordinated an airdrop of humanitarian aid into Gaza, conducted by the United States Central Command and the Royal Jordanian Air Force.
It is hilarious how they're trying to take credit for the airdrops into Gaza for the Palestinians. Uh, it was like Jordan, Egypt, UAE, France, Qatar, and I think another nation that started doing airdrops before the United States. And let's not pretend that like the Israeli government has had any help in the United States doing airdrops in Gaza.
This is an important effort. We encourage all efforts, all of them, to help alleviate the suffering of civilians in Gaza. We have coordinated a total of 21 airdrops in northern Gaza in collaboration with France, the UAE, Jordan, Egypt, and the United States.
Well, he claims he wants to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza. Like, uh, he's a spokesperson for the IDF, so he's speaking for the IDF and pretty much the Israeli government. I mean, if they really wanted to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians, the IDF would stop murdering innocent Palestinians. Like, come on, like, let's stop pretending here.
We will continue expanding our humanitarian efforts to the civilians population in Gaza while we fulfill our goals of freeing our hostages from Hamas and freeing Gaza from Hamas.
Okay, so what about the hostages that were killed by the IDF? Are you considering that freeing hostages from Hamas? And how is the Israeli government going to free Gaza from Hamas when Netanyahu supports Hamas, funds them, because he knows he can use Hamas to prevent the Palestinians from being able to actually create a state for themselves. That is the reason why Bibi Netanyahu funds Hamas. Uh, let's not lie here. I mean, this is a well-known fact that Bibi Netanyahu supports Hamas because Hamas does not want a two-state solution, unlike the Palestinian Authority, who seeks a two-state solution. Hamas doesn't. And Bibi Netanyahu knows that the use of Hamas, he can make it seem like the Palestinians are bad because Hamas keeps attacking the Israeli nation.